than 620 former federal prosecutors have signed the letters saying Donald Trump should be charged with obstruction of justice. The statement claims there is overwhelming evidence of corrupt intent to block the investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Each of us believes that the conduct of President Trump described in special counsel Robert Mueller's report would, in the case of any other person not covered by the Office of Legal Counsel policy against indicting a sitting president, result in multiple felony charges for obstruction of justice. The statement reads, U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal said he was proud to add his name to the list of signatures, which includes officials who worked for both Democratic and Republican administrations stretching back to Dwight Eisenhower. He was joined by Bill Weld, a former U.S. attorney who is standing against Mr. Trump for the Republican presidential nomination, and Donald Ayer, a former deputy attorney general under George H.W. Bush. Mr. Weld said the evidence goes well beyond what is required to support criminal charges of obstruction of justice. The letter was drawn up in response to Attorney General William Barr's conclusion that the evidence was insufficient for a charge of obstruction of justice. It argues there is evidence that Mr. Trump attempted to fire Mr. Mueller, limit the scope of the investigation and prevent witnesses from cooperating with investigators. To look at these facts and say that a prosecutor could not probably sustain a conviction for obstruction of justice, the standards set out in Principles of Federal Prosecution runs counter to logic and our experience. The letter says the statement had gathered around 370 signatures by Monday afternoon, and by Tuesday morning the total stood at 622, according to the list updated by the nonprofit Protect Democracy Project. It came as members of the House Judiciary Committee announced plans to vote on Wednesday on whether to hold Mr. Barr in contempt of Congress for failing to meet a deadline to provide a copy of the full, unredacted report and its underlying evidence.
Yeah.